Imagine standing in the center of an ancient theater built thousands of years ago where the stones have seen countless sunrises and heard the echoes of a million different voices. These stones were placed there by hands that are long gone, but the space they created still breathes with life today. We often think of history as something heavy and finished, like a dusty book on a high shelf that we only open when we want to look at the past. We think of modern ideas as something brand new, like a flash of light in a dark room that has nothing to do with what came before. But there is a beautiful and mysterious relationship between the old stone and the new voice. When we bring a fresh idea into a space that has existed for centuries, something magical happens. The past starts to act like a mirror for the present. We begin to see that human curiosity and human resilience are not new inventions. They are a continuous thread that runs through time, connecting a person carving a rock in the desert to a person sharing a vision on a digital screen. This connection tells us that our thoughts do not exist in a vacuum. We are part of a long conversation that started long before we were born and will continue long after we are gone. This helps us understand that to move forward we do not have to leave the past behind. Instead, we can use history as a foundation for a safer and more compassionate future. On the surface, we tend to view history and innovation as two separate worlds. We see a historic monument as a place for tourists to take photos and learn about old wars or dead kings. We see a modern conference as a place for technology and future planning. This surface concept suggests that the past is static and the future is dynamic. We treat history as a museum where we are not supposed to touch anything or change the mood. We worry that new ideas might disrespect the old traditions. But if we look closer, we see that history only stays alive when it is used. An empty theater is just a pile of rocks, but a theater filled with music and speeches is a living organism. The real value of a historic site is not just the stone itself, but the way it can amplify a modern voice. When an idea meets history, it gains a sense of weight and importance. It reminds us that we are not the first people to face challenges or seek wisdom. This surface view of history as a separate thing is actually a barrier that stops us from seeing the continuity of human creativity. Behind our modern life, there is a hidden assumption that we are fundamentally different from the people who lived thousands of years ago. We assume that because we have smartphones and fast cars, we have evolved into something new. We think that our problems are unique and that the people who built ancient wonders could not possibly understand our world. We assume that their lives were simple and ours are complex. But when we listen to talks about compassion and resilience in an ancient setting, that assumption begins to crumble. We realize that the people of the past also felt fear and hope and a deep need to connect with others. They also had to find ways to build communities and survive difficult times. By assuming we are different, we isolate ourselves from the lessons of history. The hidden truth is that the human heart has not changed very much. The same things that made someone curious 2,000 years ago are the same things that drive us today. When we drop this assumption, we start to see the ancient world not as a foreign country but as our own home. We realize that we are using the same emotional tools to navigate a different landscape. If we look at the structural pattern of how ideas travel, we see a pattern of echoes. An idea is like a sound that bounces off a wall. In an ancient city, the walls are made of stone and the echoes have been traveling for a very long time. This structural pattern shows us that nothing is truly original. Every new thought is built on the remains of an old one. This is like the carvings in a rock city that tell stories of trade and travel. Those carvings influenced the culture of the people who came next, who then influenced the people who came after them. This pattern of layering is how civilization grows. It is a slow and steady process of building one thought on top of another. When we stand in a place where ideas meet history, we are standing at the intersection of all those layers. The pattern suggests that our current ideas will one day be the history that inspires someone else. This creates a sense of responsibility. We are not just thinking for ourselves but for the people who will hear our echoes in the future. We are part of a cycle of discovery and performance that never truly ends. We can reframe this entire experience with a new perspective on what it means to be a modern thinker. Instead of trying to be the loudest or the newest, we can see ourselves as guardians of a flame. Reframing our role in this way changes our energy. We stop trying to compete with the past and start trying to honor it. We realize that our voice is more powerful when it is supported by the echoes of those who came before. This perspective allows us to be more humble and more brave at the same time. We are humble because we see how small we are in the long timeline of history. We are brave because we know we are backed by thousands of years of human effort. This reframing turns a simple speech into a sacred act of continuation. It makes our work feel more meaningful because it is connected to a larger story. We are not just talking to an audience in a room, we are talking to the very spirit of human progress. Applying this to our daily lives is about finding the history in our own small circles. You do not need an ancient Roman theater to find a connection to the past. You can find it in a home-cooked meal made from a recipe that has been passed down for generations. You can find it in the stories your grandparents tell or in the way a city street is laid out. We can apply this insight by being more curious about the origins of our own ideas. When you have a new thought, ask yourself where it came from. What old wisdom is hidden inside it? We can also apply this by treating our current actions as the history of tomorrow. If you knew that your choices today would be carved into stone and studied in 2,000 years, how would you act differently? Would you be more patient or more kind or more resilient? This mindset helps us live with more intention. It reminds us that every day we are adding a small piece to the giant mosaic of human history. We can choose to make our piece a beautiful one. As we reflect on these connections, we can see that the true heart of any place is its people and the ideas they share. Whether we are eating a traditional meal or listening to a song under the stars, we are participating in a ritual of belonging. This is the ultimate goal of all our ideas: to make us feel at home in the world and with each other. History gives us the roots and ideas give us the wings. When they meet, we find a sense of balance that is hard to find anywhere else. We learn that we are both old and new at the same time. We are the children of the past and the parents of the future. This deep reflection shows us that no matter how much technology changes, the core of the human experience remains the same. We still want to be heard, and we still want to believe that our lives matter. The voices that spoke in the ancient theaters are still speaking to us today if we are quiet enough to listen. They are telling us to keep searching, to keep caring, and to keep building. The journey of ideas is a global search that takes us from one country to another, but it always leads us back to the same place: the human soul. We are all travelers in time, and our best ideas are the luggage we carry with us to help the people we meet along the way. If you could send one message through time to the people who will live in your city 2,000 years from now, what is the one timeless truth about being human that you would want them to remember?